why we're here is Vivian just had an amazing art opening last night, which was a lot of fun in San Francisco. Where are we? So we're just going to do a little chit chat, the overview of your story about how you got started with Park Portraits, and then how we got the gig. So my name's Heather McKay, and I run McKay's Photography and also Parallax Life, and I'm a business coach for creatives. On their pricing and all that jazz. And actually I did Viv's wedding, and we've known each other for 100 years.
Since freshman year in college. We lived on the same dorm floor.
Exactly. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, Vivian?
Okay, I'm Viv Scholl. I am a graphic designer living in San Francisco, and about 4 years ago I started taking pictures. I was misdiagnosed with a terrible disease, did not actually have that disease, but I started walking a ton because that's what you're supposed to do to make yourself better. And I was like, oh, I have a camera in my pocket all the time because I have an iPhone. And so started just taking pictures all. So I'm hesitant to call myself a photographer. I like to say I'm a graphic designer with a camera, but anyway, we can get to that later.
Yeah.
But
stay to the end and we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
And fun fact, Viv designed my logo for my business, McKay's Photography.
2 decades
which
ago.
Which I love. Yeah, which I still love, and everybody loves walking around town. I have it on a tote bag, just the logo, just the Celtic knot. And I see them, like, sometimes my clients have them, like, in Wegmans and stuff.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's really fun to connect now and help with this. So
it's like we have a new thing to connect, a new level that we connect on, which is
beside our red hair.
Yeah.
Red hair, college, all the stories.
And
all the things. Yeah. So I'm excited because I flew in for the art opening, which was, because I'm a travel hacking guru. Aficionado.
Maven.
Yeah, I don't know. An addict. I love getting cheap flights. So I had a wedding in New Jersey, other RIT friends, and I just took advantage of a really cheap direct flight from Jersey to SF, and then I used points. Like, let's just dive right in.
Okay.
I mean, I do want this to be like natural in our giggles because we laugh a lot together.
Yes, we do.
But when you first called me, I mean, I knew you were doing the Park Portraits. You were doing that on your personal Instagram for a really long time. And then my memory is that you called me in like December of 2017, I think.
Exactly.
And you were like, hey, if you have a minute, would you help me figure out something like a price? I don't know if you even said pricing, but
I said, I'm trying to figure, somebody wants to buy one of my photos and I have no idea how much to charge. Do you know anything about pricing art? And she was
and I said, funny you should ask.
Funny you should ask.
Because I literally am building a business coaching photographers on their pricing.
And artists and
artists,
any kind of artist.
Yeah, and at the time I was helping like coaches and course creators and like online people too. I'd helped like a yoga studio person. I'd helped a lot of like random jobs.
Okay.
Self-employed people, basically. Solopreneurs. So yeah, and it's funny because, and this is actually kind of a marketing thing that's interesting, is that at the time I was very hesitant to put anything out because I didn't want my clients to see like how I price things. Just because, I don't know. I just, when you're new,
it feels like it's supposed to be a secret.
Right. Or and I love the sales part, so I didn't want them to think I was greedy. You always like have these things. So I didn't want to really, I was kind of staying small and staying hidden, and I hadn't really like branched out and told people that I was pivoting. So when Viv called me, I thought, well, this is great, because first of all, I thought it was awesome that you thought of me. Like, so I talked to you about that, like what made you call me versus other people in your life that are artists and stuff. And then also being one of my past brides, I thought, well, screw it, like I guess I don't have to hide this anymore, because here's this untapped network that I have, and tons of them start craft careers or just other self-employed stuff. So why not just, and then they might know somebody who's getting into photography, whatever. So anyway, it was really an interesting time when you did call me.
The timing
for me,
was crazy.
It was great for that. And then, and so do you remember how our conversation went? Anything notable?
I remember that you blew my mind, and I used a lot of expletives, but I'll try to refrain from doing that
I think it's on my website as a testimonial. I do have it on video or audio. The video wasn't very good at the time, and so eventually I will probably use the little snippet, because your energy is hilarious.
I don't. Do you want me to tell you what I remember?
Totally.
So what I remember was I had absolutely no idea how to price
or even what to
photos.
sell too. Like you were.
Yeah, like
somebody wanted to buy one of your prints from Instagram.
Yeah, so as a person who is going on to one of those sites that sells prints, like this little guy in front of us, they give you a million options, because as an artist, that's what you want. You want a million options. But what you taught me in that very first session was you need to curate your product.
And your price list.
And your price list.
Yeah.
And which is kind of one and the same, right? It's like there's this one, you have to distill it down to one piece of paper with a few products, and you're not giving them a billion options. So you're making it easy for them, and you're also making it easy for yourself.
Yep.
And sometimes you might like pricing something. I remember, this is kind of getting in a little bit to the weeds, but I remember you saying something like, at 10 by 10, it's this price. And at 12 by 12, it's this price. And you're not putting an 11 by 11. If they really want an 11 by 11, it's the same price as 12 by 12.
Yeah.
You know, so you just sort of
bundle things,
group them. Like, you don't need to list every single size that you're offering.
Yeah. Because they don't know.
They don't know.
They don't know what they want anyway.
Yeah.
You have to tell them.
Yes. Yes.
Generally. I mean, in a nicer way than that, but just, and I think that curating your price list, that's what you're doing.
Yes.
You're educating them. Either they need a 30 by 30 canvas, or they want something like, you know.
The other thing is, like, this has been weird for me to get used to, but in the last, I don't know what it is, 8 months, since last August, and we're now in May, I have had to think of myself as the artist. I'm typically a designer who the client gets what they want. The client is the client. Now I'm the client. And so what goes on my price list is what I want to go on the price list. I'm curating it.
How does that feel?
That's my, it's taken some getting used to. Like, I really, really had to get used to it. But now I'm like, okay, so here's an example. This is a 1/2-inch border. This is not how I'm selling them at the bar. I'm selling them with a 3/4 inch border, because that's too small. It needs a little more.
Yeah.
1 inch is too much.
Creative
1/2
decisions.
Is too small.
Yeah.
It's my decision. I'm not selling it with a 1/2-inch border.
Or full bleed or any of that.
I'm not doing that. That's not my product.
Exactly. It's branding. It's all the things.
Yeah,
So luckily, being a graphic designer, a lot of that stuff translates.
And I work in branding. Yes.
Yeah, totally.
My specialty is branding. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I think that my memory of our first talk was also that I gave you permission to take control of that process for yourself as a brand. Yeah. That's my memory of really what I mean, yes, it's like I can teach tactics, and I can, you know, I could tell you what to price with a formula, which I did, but I think that's what I feel like you really got out of our chat, was that permission of like, go, little bird, and do whatever you want to do, you know, like have an opinion about what you're selling and why and how much it is and all that. At least that's what I try to do. Yeah. Obviously, anyone who's ever met me knows I have a plethora of opinions, but but at the end of the day, it's your vision and your product, you know? Yeah. And even with the wood prints, when like how you pick that for yourself. Yeah. You know, like, because my vision is like, I love metal prints, so I was like talking about metal prints with you, but that's just it. That's what I like.
That's funny. We haven't talked about that yet.
No, I know. I've been saying, there's a couple of things I've been saving.
Yeah, I know. This is good. It's gonna get juicy.
This will be fun. Yeah.
It's gonna get really controversial towards the end.
Have you and I ever really disagreed on anything, though? I don't think that's true.
There's that one fist fight. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Rolling in the mud.
Yeah.
No? Did I dream that?
No, I think you did. Yeah. Probably when we shared a twin bed in your mom's house.
It was full. It was not a queen.
Full?
It was not.
I remember being a twin. I remember like some spooning happening
really
or something.
Small.
And we giggled like little kids. So you're going to get a lot of that today. Yeah, obviously. But anyway, so it's pretty exciting. That's actually what's fun, is we always laugh. Yeah. So Viv and I met 100 years ago, like I said, at RIT, Rochester Institute of Technology, which is where we went to uni. And we were on the same floor in the dorms, and that's how we met. And I don't know if it's so much that we became friends, is like Viv was always working on her projects for art classes, and I would always like come in and be blown away by what she created with the parameters of the class. And I just remember having like a lady boner for you. Like that wasn't a word back then, but I just was like really impressed with like your vision of how you tackled these because I had a lot of art friends, so I knew the projects that all my art like that what's that one with the paper and the little sticks that
Oh, that 3D project?
Yeah, that 3D project. Anyway,
Made a shell or something?
yeah, something really, and I just was like,
Troy
wow.
made a popcorn that was
that's
really
cool.
It
That's
was
really
just
cool.
yeah.
So I just remember like that kind of, I would go by her room. She was always working, which, you know, workaholic a little
Everybody
bit.
calls me a workaholic, but really I
It's
was
not
just
that, it's
always
just-
behind. I worked
Really?
till 4 in the morning. I figured out how to.
Well, I think also
anyway,
being
whatever.
detail oriented, and other people probably like were drinking all night and then had to throw something together.
maybe.
That might be part of the difference.
Maybe. But
I just remember like walking down the hall to your hall, like it was a short hall,
it was around the corner.
but it was just after the bathroom, and where I'd brush my teeth, and Viv would come running like, "Is that Heather?" So anyway, we became friends, and she hasn't been able to get rid of me yet.
Not yet. No, but it's funny that you say that about my vision or whatever, because I didn't really understand that I was creative until I was about 40.
Really? What? Are you kidding me?
It's weird.
Don't make me punch you. That's gonna be our first fist fight.
Our self-perception is
that's true.
messed up, right?
So all artists have that. That's part of it. And so, and actually that gets back to what we were talking about with that first coaching call, which was like an unofficial coaching call because we're friends. I was like, oh, Viv, that's amazing. Let's talk, because I definitely have opinions, and this is what I'm doing. And so it was a great conversation, but it was a coaching call. But anyway.
Can I just say something about what happened right after that call?
Oh, yeah.
Or are you going to get into that later?
No, go ahead.
So right after that call, so like, I remember it was 2:00 in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
We got on the phone. Say we got on the phone at 2.
Yeah.
It was 2 years ago. So a year and a half ago. I don't really
probably
know,
have it time stamped on the video somewhere.
Yeah. Say we got on the phone at 2. We got off the phone at 3. From 3:00 until 1 in the morning, I worked on my price list.
You did?
Yeah.
Aww.
Because I had so much adrenaline. I was so pumped.
Yes. That's exciting.
And I was just like, how am I excited about a price list?
Oh, and I remember getting the email later from you. It was like, yeah, that's what the expletive was.
I was designing it.
You were just like so excited. Like,
yeah.
And I think that's what you wrote. Like, how is it that I freaking love my price list?
Like that is not something I ever thought I would have passion about.
Yeah.
And you sparked and
ignited.
ignited.
It's because I love that shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I love it. It's so
good
fun.
at it. Like,
it's so fun.
Like for me, the money part is something like I had to work on my relationship with money, and so I never ever imagined that I would be excited about pricing.
Yay.
So yeah, that was
that
awesome. Was
was
pretty mind blowing.
Yes, cool. And for me, it's fun. And everyone goes through the mindset stuff. Like I actually have a whole video about like my top 10 things that I've had to go through with my mindset, like the big ones. Like you don't have to be able to afford your own work.
Yeah.
And things like that. But it's like, it's great to hear it, but you have to actually internally go through that. And it's just like, I mean, it's kind of like being in a relationship. Like, am I worthy? Like until you actually know it and feel it in your heart and you meet someone that treats you like you're worthy, like you can hear, I just need to confident. Like, but yeah, that's exciting that you were excited about it. Like that was awesome.
Worked with adrenaline pumping from 3 in the afternoon till 1 a.m. and I did not take a break for dinner.
Oh my gosh.
Like I had crackers at the side of my desk, and
I love it. It's so fun.
That's how excited
Well, you were also on a time crunch because somebody wanted to buy something for Christmas.
Yeah, but it was adrenaline.
Yeah.
Like I guarantee you it was full on adrenaline.
And I remember like during the coaching call, like we're on video, but she's like, don't show this ever. Like she was walking around, she was like, I think you were just busy. You're a multitasker. So we were on video, right? And you're like,
did I say don't share it?
Yeah. And you were like, oh, I'm eating. I don't look good. Well, because I got smart and I wanted to I started video stuff, not specifically for the YouTube channel, but more because it helps me like rehear. When I'm coaching, I get like a different kind of adrenaline. I get like these moments of genius. And the way I say stuff and the way I cut through the chase, like it's really hard for me to recreate that sometimes. So I like to do video. So I have it and captured. I can re-listen. Like, how did I word that? So it's more of that kind of thing. But anyway,
I can look at that again and maybe it's fine to share.
No, you're blur. You're a blur. It's
okay.
I've watched it, Viv.
It's no good. No, it's no good. It's
no,
garbage.
So I'm going to strip the audio out and use it as a testimonial. Because of the way you cursed, you were like frickin' frackin'. I can't believe it. Yeah. I can't. Yeah, there was whatever phrasing. It was like, I can't believe you expanded what I can offer, yet narrowed my offerings, or something like that. It was something to something like
expanded
that.
Expanded and narrowed, and it was. Yeah.
And that was exactly it. So one of the things we had talked about at that time was like you were kind of thinking, oh well, this person that might want to buy something, like, oh, I'm just an iPhone photographer, I'm not actually a photographer, like all that imposter syndrome stuff that we all go through, especially in the beginning. But you know, you were kind of looking for like a $35 to $50 price point.
Was I?
Yeah. And my answer to you, I remember this, was, okay, that's a screenshot for the phone. Like, that's...
Yes, I remember that now. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Not this.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so a lot of it was that, and then that's how I taught you about the buckets of like different size buckets. So that's one of my things is like 10 by 10, even a 12 by 12 is kind of the same thing. It's like the same price. It takes the same energy to order the print, talk to the client, do all the things. The cost difference from the photo lab is so minuscule that just bundle them, like, and then jump up to 16 by 16 or 20 by 20 or 30 by 30 or whatever.
Exactly.
And then we talked shop a little bit as far as like what an iPhone can do, and which is a lot actually. So on that note, I was sort of leaning more towards Canvas because Canvas is very forgiving for like pixels and stuff. I
could have made them really big.
Yeah, like you could offer like a really cool statement piece for that, which is always nice to throw on your price list because some crazy person will buy it.
I did.
Oh, good.
It's not on the one that was at the gallery, but on my official Park Porches price list, it says, contact me about large format canvas prints.
Sure, but would you agree that that's sort of passive?
Yes. And it's because as a curator, it's not my preference.
No, that's
but if someone
really,
really wanted one, they could
then
contact
they know
me.
that they can,
But it's just doesn't have to be my preference for my stuff.
How would you feel about putting on there the same sort of thing, but something specific?
Like
40 by 40
or 40 by Jinx.
No, I'm always like going higher. 40
by 40
for a statement piece. 40 by 40 statement piece. Contact me.
I like that
for a custom quote.
Oh,
so it's still,
I can't just put.
No, but it makes it sound like people who want some statement piece for like $4 million, they're gonna want a custom quote.
Oh. So you can charge more than the actual
I mean, there's
value
a lot,
of it.
Yeah.
See what she's doing there?
Right, because it's not just multiply whatever you had on your price list by exponential.
Or it's not, okay, so
it's a custom, oh, I'm going to come and hang it for you. Like,
oh, wow.
I mean, it's more specialty. It's like, you know, I'm thinking about like $1 Million Listing, like those TV shows, you know?
Yeah.
What's $2,000 for like a really cool San Francisco? I mean,
no, you're probably right. I could probably do that.
Right, you could.
But the cost difference between
it doesn't matter. They don't know
40 by 40 and a canvas 40 by 40
is like negligible.
Is nothing. But you're saying
the impact of having something the size of this building behind us. That's like when they walk in and they've got $1 million house, or in San Francisco, $1 million apartment.
Yeah. So to be clear, she's saying maybe the cost of my cost is actually the same, but the way you sell it is everything, and you can actually charge.
You can charge more.
Pretty hefty.
Yeah, and it's not about, and it has nothing to do with being greedy.
Right.
It has to do with positioning. Like there's a huge difference between going to Walmart, where there's no price tags on the shelves, you have to deal with all the weirdos, like, and versus Target. And it gets back to like Target or Pottery Barn or like something a little higher class. Like, so similar. They're selling the same stuff, but you go into Target and it's just a nicer experience.
Right.
I mean, and I don't mind paying 50 cents more for a shampoo or whatever. Yeah. Like, I'm not, you can't pay
because you walk around in a store and not offended.
Yeah. I'm offended by everything and everyone.
In Walmart. I'm offended in Walmart.
I am totally offended by Walmart. Yeah. But anyway, so it gets back to value, you know, like, selling this for $2,000 is going to be hard. But selling something that's like
40 by 40.
Yeah, that's like cool and it's their car and maybe their house, or like, I mean, again, there's a lot of people in San Francisco that new money, you know, lots of it.
A lot of them are doing well.
And they want to show that they just finally went public with their IPO or whatever, and they might want a cool thing for their office. So why rob them of that?
Why rob them of that experience? Absolutely.
And so it has nothing to do with being greedy. Like with my own clients, you know, if they come to me and they're like, this is my budget, great, here's what we can do. No problem. But if there isn't a budget, this is what I think you would love. It's like I'm just serving my clients fully. So there's a lot of psychology there, which we don't need to get into in this, but there's a lot of psychology of like, some people like to spoil themselves. Like,
Yeah.
You know, if you've ever been on a budget and you've done that for 2 years to like get out of debt or something, or you're like really trying to pay off the house or the student loans, but on the other end of that, you're like, I need a treat. I want something fun. It's not a bill.
Yeah.
So why limit? Why not let them have that feeling of like, oh, I deserve this.
Why rob them of that?
Yeah, like they're doing it for themselves,
I
right?
agree.
Like it's like that's my point. Have it on the price list, have it on the menu.
Yeah.
They're gonna order the lobster or not.
Right.
There's always a salad or an appetizer if they're really on a budget.
But does it say contact me for price, or does it say $2,000?
It said no. Anybody with that much money, not that that's a lot, but like really for fine art, it's not. But okay, look, think about a high-end restaurant in New York City. Would they have prices on the menu when you get to a high enough restaurant?
Oh, I guess I've never been to.
No, they don't. Or they'll have it like at the top and everything's
market price or market.
Yeah, they might have that. But generally, when you get high enough, those people don't care what the price is.
Yeah.
This is my point.
Yeah.
They're not budgeting for art.
They just want what they want.
Like they either want it or they don't want it, and that it's literally that simple.
Okay.
And worst case scenario, that you get a payment plan.
Okay.
Like if they
really want it.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so there's a lot of that kind of stuff, which I'm sure we talked about back in the day. Yeah. So let's segue into like this is what I want to talk about is less about like how awesome I am at helping you, but it's more about I want to hear about this gig last night. I want to hear all about the art show.
Okay.
So walk us through, like, you know, we kind of did that, and then you kind of got serious because somebody bought it. Well, you were serious before, don't get me wrong, but somebody wanted to buy your stuff, and then you got a price list, and then you had made business cards like right around that time. I feel like it was all kind of around the same time that you were like, oh, somebody wants to buy something, maybe I should make cards.
Yep.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, so I had this idea. So what I do is I walk around San Francisco. I find people just have old vintage cars and park them on the street, and we don't have snow and we don't have salt on the road, so you can park your car on the street and not worry about it getting rusted. And I find a lot of them, people don't find as many cars. Even the people that live in San Francisco say, we have this many
based
old
on
cars
watching your thing for a couple of years. I expected to like get here and just be like, and I
inundated, and you barely
I barely
right?
saw any.
Yeah. So I mean, I comb the streets.
You're
comb the deserts.
Yeah.
I literally comb the streets. When I walk, I take the taxi to the doctor's appointment and wherever I'm going, and then I walk home. That's my exercise. And so, what was the question?
When did you make the business cards?
Oh yeah. At some point I decided I would put business cards on the cars, and I didn't have an agenda. The general broad agenda was like, maybe they will find me on social media, and maybe they'll say, hey, I saw that you took a picture of my car. I'd love you to take a picture of it in front of this other background.
Which is funny because I think that's one of the things that I loved about yours is that the car matched the background so well.
Coincidentally. And you know what's great about this one? This house is no longer orange.
Really?
So that is never going to happen again.
That's my favorite because I love orange, and those vintage trucks are really cute.
And 3 of these sold last night.
I have good taste.
What can I say? So I had no agenda with the cards, but think about it. I was putting myself out there.
Yes.
Right? I was saying, I was not hiding.
Yes.
I was not...
And you started the second dedicated Instagram kind of generally around the same time.
So it was July of 2017.
Okay. Yeah. So right before you called me then. Yeah, I feel like it was right there. Yeah.
July, and so 6 months later someone asked for a print.
Yeah.
Okay. So all in that 6 month time period, I started the dedicated Instagram account, got business cards made.
Started leaving them on the cars. And then I think I called you. We worked out pricing. I made a little, I don't have a website at the moment. I literally just have a page and I have some text links on it. Just haven't put the effort into it yet. Which is like the natural progression, like not to talk marketing too much, but that's attraction marketing. You're doing your thing, and then things just start to kind of like slowly click. You know, call it the universe, call it God, whatever. It's like pointing you in a direction. I got
1,000 followers in
like no second. Yeah.
A year.
It was pretty good.
I was up to 1,000, and I thought, okay,
Oh yeah, didn't I call you a micro?
A micro influencer, and I always use that. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, because she's like, oh, I only have like 990, and I'm like, no, Viv, you're a micro influencer.
So it was like 1,000, and now it took another year to get up to like 1,400 something.
Yeah, but still, I mean,
yeah,
then that's a whole other thing though of like how to like do Instagram, which is one of the reasons last night I took over your phone. I did the live streaming, and I did the stories, and because you need that stuff and that energy, and it's not just the photo now. It's like, oh, there's this life and this person behind it and what she looked like.
Yeah, it's
important to have that. It's important to have that, and then it's only there for 24 hours, so it's easy. Like, yeah. Hey guys, if you're in the know, here's this art opening tonight. Like, come on down. Yeah. And you got some new followers from it. And it just helps to, like, again, liven it up a little. Yeah. Yeah. So and eventually, for me, Instagram becomes more behind the scenes than the actual photos. Like it'll switch eventually.
For me, you think? It'll become not a gallery.
You would pepper it in.
Okay.
I would say pepper it in.
I'm open to the coaching on that.
Pepper it in. Like the photo I took today of you with the car, with the building.
Okay.
Like, hey, and then, anyway, all right, here's a coachable moment, right? So, what I would do is, today we were walking around, and I took a picture of Viv in front of a vintage car in front of a cool building. And I just made her get in the photo. But that's where you throw that one in there, and then you do a whole story about you and how you got started and like why you love cars. Like basically everything you've already talked about.
Yeah.
Like growing up in the Northeast, everyone had them in garages. You never saw them. Like you just type it out like it's a press release or a blog post or a story. Yeah. And then it just, when people are scrolling through and binging your content, then they can have a connection with you. Cool. So it's in their feed somewhere, and then you can go back to regular programming.
Yeah.
And then like you have an art opening, and then you do that same thing. So yeah, the behind the scenes stuff it humanizes us. People love that. There's a reason that the Kardashians are.
Oh, I thought you were actually having a coughing attack.
No, I hate saying their name. But there's a reason that they literally do nothing. They don't sell or make or create anything, and they're like people just love following the personalities. Yeah. And with Instagram, that's really what works. It's that stuff. So it's important to throw that stuff in there, Yeah. And like that's why the story with the owner of the bar in the car is so fascinating, because it you feel in the know when you know a story and all that stuff. Yeah. So let's talk about the art opening last night. Okay. So how did you get that gig?
Okay, so I put my business card on the cars. One day I got a message in my DMs on Instagram from the owner of the Madrone Art Bar in San Francisco. His name's Michael Kraus. And he said, I got your business card. Get in touch with me so we can talk about showing the work.
Which is literally like the best possible message, right? Yeah, I bet. You were probably like, wait, what?
I showed it to a friend, Garrett, and he goes, I think he couldn't believe that was happening either. He goes, I think he wants to show you his car.
Oh, he thought that?
He really, okay, so he asked me, he sent me that message. I wrote him back, and so because I just have to tell you this because I think it's funny. Because I didn't believe that he was actually asking me to do an art show at his bar.
Of course, imposter syndrome,
pinching myself, this can't be real. I said, hi, let me know what you have in mind.
Open-ended, yeah.
So he goes, oh, sorry, I'm the owner of the Madrone Art Bar. I'd love to have you exhibit your photos at my bar. So it was okay, this is real.
But it's kind of like dating. It's like, is it a date? I need you to say
it. You need to really say it's a date.
Actually ask me out. Like it can't be like, let's hang out.
Let's not be ambiguous. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. And you were like, oh wait, this is real.
Yeah, this is real. Oh
That's
my God.
That's cool. How long ago?
August of last year.
Yeah. So
we set up the meeting for 3 weeks later, and so we met at his bar, and I went down there, and I brought a couple of these, and I brought some other. I brought a metal print and some other, it's called a standout mount, those. And I brought my laptop, and so I showed him, I had collected into an album on my computer, like frame-worthy of my photos. And there were 100 of them that I considered frame worthy or whatever. I don't remember the number, but it was big enough that he could go like, okay, you have enough work to show.
Yeah, right.
And he had seen that I had kind of tested out printing it in reality. I wanted him to know that I had
done the work,
actually tried it, and also he knew I was a designer because I had a design card and that kind of thing. So I think he had some confidence that I would be able to pull it off. But I think it was very clear, like I told him in that very first meeting, I am so excited. I can't even believe this is happening. Like, I didn't try to hide my excitement because I wanted him to know who I was. Like, I'm not an artist who's done this 100 times. So I just wanted
Except
that
that you've
clear.
done that for other people's brands, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
This is my first time really doing it.
No, of course.
For myself.
It is different too when it comes from something that's a hobby or passion or just a side project, like just something that you just do because you want to do it. Like it is different to like
feels totally different.
Oh, it does. It really does. It brings up a lot. It feels different. It's flattering. It's scary. Like there's so much that goes into like taking something that you do because you want to do it, and then now it's a thing that may or may not end up out of your control. Like I find that is usually everyone goes through that sort of progression. You know? And then there's more after that. Like every time you actually level up, there's new feelings.
Yes. I have to read that book, The Big Leap.
Oh yeah. It's a great one.
It's on hold.
It's a totally like a whole other level, and the way we sabotage ourselves and all that stuff. But with this story, what I love is that, first of all, I love that it's called the Art Bar.
Madrone Art Bar.
I love that he's an artist. Everyone who works for him is an artist. Like that he's serious about supporting artists. Like I would say like 99% of everything else, everyone else is like, oh, just fill my walls so there's something on the walls and I don't have to actually buy work for it. You know, like you go to any restaurant, any coffee shop, it's all, the artist is putting out all the money and they're the ones decorating your store for you so you can make money. Like I've always had a problem with that, especially early on when I didn't have any money and I'd spend a lot of money to like frame something. It just always bugged me that they didn't even like help me pay for that or anything. So I love that he's an artist and that he really actively promotes and supports artists.
And I feel like he tries to mentor with a very light touch.
Oh, that's great.
People.
Because he looked over your price list too, right? So that alone is helpful.
So when getting back to specifically pricing, when I went in that day in August, at the end of August of last year, he had an artist in the bar that had 10 by 10 photos. They were abstract art, and he was an Instagram guy. He had also found that guy on Instagram, and so he had a grid similar to my show. And Mike said to me, "I can picture your photos displayed like this."
Oh, cool. And so he wasn't worried about it being redundant or anything like that either.
He'll do a grid version thing, and then he'll do something with like really big art the next 2 months, and then the next 2 months he'll do something different.
Cool.
So he scheduled me in for May and June because he knew that I would be different from the previous thing.
That's amazing.
And he
also
again
said, that's supporting fully an artist.
Yeah,
that to me is like really supportive.
Okay, but so he said the ones that are up right now, those go for $180 a piece.
Okay.
So that's around, he goes, I think that those are well priced. I don't know what you want to sell them before, but, and I said, I think I could do somewhere around there. I said currently this size, 12 by 12, is on my price list is $225.
Yeah, so it's not that bad.
But I could bring it down a little to make it like work for his clientele.
Brand. Yeah, his brand.
He said, great. And so I was a little worried what you would think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and well, so do you want to know what I think?
I do. Okay,
because we haven't talked about this.
We haven't talked about this.
I've saved this for the video.
Yeah.
So
I priced them at $190.
Yeah,
12 by 12,
I did notice that. So there's psychology there, like just under $200, but it's $200. Like, obviously that always works. It is good to know what the going rate is. If I was in that situation, I might ask a couple more clarifying questions, like what percentage sells. You might have talked about this with him, but also like, I guess, but the other thing, which is fine, most people don't.
Okay.
I'm just saying like and maybe that's something I could like come up with like a email or a template to sell. It's like, here are the questions.
Here's the questions.
Yeah,
ask.
like
yeah.
just
yeah,
just because
you don't think of them.
The
until
more you
you're...
ask questions and the less you talk, which I'm a chatty Cathy, so I get how ironic that is. But the more question you ask, the more information you're going to get, and then you can make a qualified decision based on all the volume of information.
But the reason you're important is because I didn't think of the questions until I was actually putting it all together, and I'm like, oh, I'm printing 54 of these.
Yeah, that's a lot. It adds up.
Even though he gives a stipend.
Yeah, it still adds up. It still adds up, right? So and then. Yeah, so then there's that dynamic of like, well, what if half of them don't sell, or what if nothing sell? Like, where's that money coming from? And so there's all of those questions. So not only on his side, like, okay, great that's where that artist that he pointed out was selling. My follow-up would be like, well, what else has sold? What's the most someone has bought from this space?
Yep.
Like, and also what's the average? So like, okay, that's that one artist, but maybe his stuff isn't as good, or he doesn't have 1,000, he's not a micro influencer. Like, there's just so many other variables to it. Like I see a lot of people that are like super trendy, they're cute, white, blonde, like, and then they're not priced. And I'm like, you can literally hoover money in if you have certain qualities in America. Like, but we never would think that. So there's a lot of questions you can ask to kind of figure out. I call it the Goldilocks zone. It's like, okay, you want the Goldilocks zone of like what you can sell it for and be profitable, where it makes a lot of money, where it meets your profit, where it doesn't. You want that. And then you also want to know the Goldilocks zone of the market.
So what do you think?
So for me, all I'm going to say is that I spent $30 drinking beer last night.
Yeah.
I can keep this forever, and I peed out the beer today.
So 190 is way too low.
I think they're too low. That being said, again, it's a smaller piece. It's affordable. It's approachable. Yeah. It's just a matter of, yet again, Goldilocks, of have some of those. And then you did have bigger ones, but I would have like a range, 3 different things. Hot, medium, and cold. So like if somebody wanted, but okay, so I'm getting ahead of myself because again, I get excited. So, okay, now what's great about this particular show, I want to bring it back to you for a second. You sold 3 of the same thing last night. Yeah. So that's profitable. You did something once.
Sold 3 of these.
Which, by the way, is like totally, I love, it's so cute. But that's market testing. Okay, so that one, out of how many did you have?
54.
54. You sold 3 of this one. So guess what? Next sample to order for the next show is a giant one of that.
Okay.
And then that one pays for the whole fucking show.
Oh, damn, girl.
If you can get one person to buy that, it pays for all of it, and then you don't. This is called a loss leader. It's like you don't really care about these little ones because you're budgeting for the cost of the show in a bigger one.
Okay, so let's get specific. So 54 pieces. I spent about $3,000. So you're saying
sell this one ginormous for $5,000.
Okay.
Or,
that's cool.
We can do the math on it, but and then but I will say high five because you have one of these in the show and he sold 3 of them. So that's great.
Is it?
Yeah, because think about this one picture you took now is a $500 picture or $600 picture.
Okay.
You can sell it over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So again, it gets back to like marketing of let's do an Instagram campaign on this fucking picture because people like it. Hashtag orange things, like hashtag nothing rhymes with orange. Like you go crazy for this one picture because it's market tested. People like it. It's validated. It's what I call validating.
Okay.
So there's that gets into marketing, but it's just an idea. Okay. So that's the Goldilocks zone. Is like, okay, and it's important. I'm not picking on you in any potential way. It's like, this was your first show. Okay. Artists typically get their ego filled with like, oh, I can't believe anyone wants to buy my work. Like, or, oh, I only sold one thing. Like you have to divorce the ego and then look at it critically. Like that, like three of that picture sold. Awesome. Let's do more of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. If the whole show sold, you were way too cheap.
Yeah.
You know, like there's things
I
you
sold
can
them for $30. Yeah.
Yeah, like if you critically think about things afterwards, like after you get like the awesomeness of like being at the show and everyone who showed up, like obviously get your ego filled with all that stuff.
Yeah.
Clearly, like
that was wonderful.
100% do that. But then after the honeymoon wears off, then you start looking at it critically. Like, okay, which one sold? How much? You know, and then like again, I equated. I'm like, well, if I'm going to spend $100 out drinking one night, then $200 for a priceless piece of art is affordable.
It's definitely affordable.
Yeah,
it's affordable.
So you could play with that. So
as my first show, I felt okay.
Yeah, no, totally, and that's normal. Again, I love being devil's advocate, so I'm just gonna say like sometimes being new and everyone there to support you the first show. Like if you did a show every month, nobody would come.
Right, exactly.
You know, like the first one is where you can really maximize your income potential.
Okay.
So it's important for us artists to not play small early.
Okay.
Because everyone's excited for us that we're doing this thing. Yeah. I'm here, your parents are here, your brother's here. Like, I probably won't come to the second art.
No, you will.
You know, like, so it's important to not play small when you have a captive audience, is my point.
Okay.
Everyone's paying attention. Everyone's going to want to support you and buy one. Okay. And so there's a lot of, and that's not just for you and your show, it's just in general. Like, that's my biggest regret when I started doing wedding photography. I was tripping over my friends getting married, and I wish I had not charged $600. Yeah, like when, because what happened was they'd spend $4,000 on cakes or flowers. Well, they should have spent $600 on that and $4,000 on me. Like that's my fault, not theirs. Right, it's my fault. Right. And well, it took me longer to buy the next camera and all the things. So it's important in the beginning, everyone's excited. Now I've been doing this 17 years. No one remembers that I'm a photographer. Like no one asks me about it. No one recommends me. Like nobody cares. Nobody reads my blog anymore. Like in the beginning, everybody was following everything I did.
Because it was so new.
It was new and they were excited. Oh, Heather's doing this cool thing. Like,
and the other thing is
so you have to maximize in the beginning is my point.
Right. My husband always says, like, Kevin always says that people are like, I think it's amazing that I got a show. And he's like, no, you're a creative person. Yeah. It's just obvious that people, if you get another show, nobody's going to be blown away.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. That's exactly
to your point. Yeah. Maximize the first show.
Yeah. Maximize it. So, but also.
What about the 20 by 20s?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Did you sell any of those?
Not last night.
Not yet. Okay.
Not yet. So I did 20 by 20s.
But I did like that she had some different ones for sure. So, I guess my point is like it's great that he had kind of set the bar of where the other show was, but that doesn't mean that you have to price your work exactly there. Not that you were exact, but it was close.
Oh, it was $10 off.
Yeah. So my thing is like it, and again, this is what's so hard. It's hard to look critically at that because
so you would have done them higher. What would you have done?
I would have done at least $250.
Wow. Okay.
Because they're different and they're cool. So, but here's a story real quick. I'll fill you again as an outsider. It's different than when you're attached to it too. Yep. Right. So there was someone who came in off the street. I was running Viv's Instagram and I was trying to take a picture, but then he turned and I was like, oh, can you just like, sorry to be a creep, but like,
can you just
like keep staying there for a second again? And he did. And I got a photo because I liked the way he was framed and stuff. And then we were chatting.
That was a cool
yeah, and now he's following both of us, by the way.
Oh,
he's
cute.
Adorable. I loved him. Oh. Nathan. So anyway,
Nathan.
he was sweet and he like chatted and whatever. He didn't know about it. He comes in off the street and he's like, oh my gosh. And he was already following a different Instagram in San Francisco and he thought maybe it was that because he's a car guy. And I was like having fun being like, oh no, she's different because she actually like pays attention to the background and like she's a designer and the lighting and like, you know, I wasn't going crazy, but I was kind of just like subtly educating him on like, no, that account is just Candid's and this is professional. You know, like that was my point. But he loved it and he followed you and the whole thing and like it's just I just love the synergy of that. I love that he came in off the street and it was a car guy. Yeah. And my point in all of that is that when you have a captive audience like that, and if you have someone there to sell, that helps. Then he like by the time he was done talking to me, he actually he was about to leave, but he took a flyer and he thought about it. But if I was like the salesman and not like just doing your social, you could just a little whittle and they could buy it. You know, like it's that they're like, oh yeah, you're right. You can talk people into stuff, not in a creepy way, but you show them the value, and then I mean, if he's a car guy, why wouldn't he? He's already following all these people on Instagram.
Yeah.
You know, he had educated me on the entire hashtag system of cars in San Francisco and who started it and the whole thing. So he follows it. It's
a
passionate.
Hear more of those details.
Yeah. So to me, it's like when you have somebody like that who's passionate about it, he's spending his free time doing it.
Wow.
Why wouldn't he buy something?
Okay,
he's clearly interested.
Okay.
And so there's tactics like that you could take at the next level. But in the beginning, obviously, you're not thinking those things, you know? And my point is, if he's going to buy something, it doesn't matter really what it costs, unless it's unless this was $2,000.
Right.
Yeah, like I get that. But generally speaking, another $50, gives you a different perspective versus what the other guy is charging.
Yeah.
Is my point.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Like
your stuff was different than the Instagrammer he was
talking
about.
I've seen it. There's a ton of car accounts out there. Yeah.
So it's just, you know, that's why I say it's a Goldilocks. It's like you get to know kind of generally, and it is okay to look at the market, but don't get bogged down by the market. Don't try to, my whole point with all of this is don't feel like you have to try to fit the market. Because maybe you're better than the market and you just don't know it. And which is very hard for any artist to know that, which is why big artists get representatives that set the prices for them and do the billing and do all this stuff. It's hard. It's when.
So do you think that if I'd set them at $250, I may have sold more?
I think for that particular show, because I was there, normally my normal answer would be yeah. If you charge it like $500, people are like, oh. Then they pay attention. Like, why is it $500? Is it gold plated? Like,
the cachet.
When it's more expensive, ironically, it's more valuable.
Yeah.
That being said, with your first show, I think it's okay to start here. At least it was profitable. At least they weren't $50, which I see a lot of. I see like way underpriced art everywhere all the time. So I am glad that they were approachable, but not a steal. You know.
Okay. Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like that, it is important.
And it's a bar and not a gallery.
So that was my real point. Is like for me, I would charge more if it was if it was a gallery. You would have sold more if there was someone walking around that wasn't a bartender to sell it.
Okay.
That's it. Like if I was able to close that deal with him, then you could, and that's where you can charge a lot more. Like it could have been $325. It could have been $395. Like. If you get somebody who's actually interested in that emotional attachment and that's their car or their house in the photo or they live on that block, like when you have that stuff, literally like unless it's an obscene amount of money and unless they have an obscene amount of money, but a normal person, there is a little range. And again, it gets back to that Goldilocks zone. But I think anything under $500 is the same price.
Okay.
Like with weddings, I joke, I don't get out of my yoga pants and my hoodie for anything other than $500. But I'm also paying self-employment taxes and things. So it's like I've done the math and I know that anything under $500 is literally the same as free.
It's free, same as $0.
Yeah, totally. So anyway, how do you feel about, I just want to kind of wrap up. We've been talking a while. I'll probably edit down this a little bit.
It's getting a little chilly.
It is getting a little chilly and dark. But how do you feel about the show as a whole? Like without obviously any of my comments, but like just like it was amazing to be there. There's so many people. Everybody was actually engaging with the work. They weren't just there for you. They were like looking at the work and reading the things. And I feel like as an art opening, it went really well.
Oh, okay.
How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I had people talking to me about the work. Specific comments about this or that, or why did you include this? Like one of them is not parked; it's driving. Yeah, and one of them is at a 3/4 view. Yeah, I noticed the rest are 90 degrees. Yeah, and one guy was like drilling me on why I did that. It was really great, and it was a guy I didn't know. Oh,
that's even better. Yeah. Oh, that's fun.
That was cool. So I mean, it was an amazing experience in terms of like people in my life showing up, like people on social media that I actually know in person, and then people I met on social media actually showing up.
Oh, that's fun.
At the bar. That was really neat. Yeah. And then people that I've put the flyers and business cards on their cars showing up. Yeah. And like, that was really cool. Fun. So 6 of them sold out of 54. And I know that 8 of them will sell because Kevin's chiropractor is so into them. But I think she thought that if she bought through the bar that they would take a cut.
Oh, yeah.
They were not taking a cut. So I think it would have been 8.
Yeah.
If she had actually bought
then. That's pretty good.
So 8 on the first night. I guess I hoped that I would sell more.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be up for another 7 weeks. I don't know.
And that's where like a whole marketing campaign could help.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Definitely have to.
And this is also where, you know, you could talk to the owner afterwards and be like, oh, what can I do different? Like what's his average? Like there's a lot of places that don't sell anything. Like I said, when they just, they're like, oh, it's just filler for the coffee shop or something.
They don't care if it sells because he doesn't take a cut.
Yeah.
Could be.
So you never know, like, and then also the bartender's busy. Like by the time you get in line to get a drink, you might forget that you were gonna buy something too, or
oh god, yeah.
You never know. I mean, you just really never know how it goes. And so that's where market research on his end is helpful. Like you talking to him about like what's normal, and because maybe you'll find out that you're selling anything like that many was great. You never know.
Talk to him.
Yeah. So it gets back to all right. It's great to have that feeling. It's great to know that you wish you'd sold more, but then go into the analytics afterwards.
Okay.
And it'll help you get past the emotional attachment and then gauge it. Don't take it as gospel, but it's nice to know what because he does.
I'll bring
it
it back to you. See what you,
both of us. But it's his bar and he knows his customers, you know? I mean, it's not like it's a posh bar at the wharf, you know,
and
like where you have tourists.
Regulars. He has a lot of regulars that like, I talked to a guy the day that I brought the flyers in, and then I brought like a little laminated flyers in. This guy was like, I love your photos. These are so great. I don't remember the exact words, but it sounded like he was going to figure out which one he wanted to buy. Richard, the manager, like his first car, or he owned a BMW 2002, and that was one of the big ones that are tilted and they cost $420. And like he's like, you know, I'll have it live in there on the wall for these 2 months, and I'll let it speak to me. See what happens.
Oh, I like that. And then that's where also sales comes in. It's like then follow up with them and like, hey, how do you feel? Like I don't want to take it home, and that's when you do discounts.
Flirt. No.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally. Like you know, and that there's all that stuff's marketing, right? Like so going to the bar, bringing more people to the bar, like just over the course of anybody DMs you like, oh, let's do a meetup and an artist talk. I mean, there's just different things you can do, or just like bringing us in so that they're more motivated because they like you because you're bringing in business. Yeah. There's like a lot of stuff.
Like you can bring my friends into the bar
just to hang out,
to drink and just hang out with my work on the walls.
Just
and
subtly,
like introduce them to my friends.
If that even just more like they can see you and they get an affinity for you because they're going to want to talk up your work if you're bringing business to them. Yeah.
It's so what I did try to do last night. So, okay, a ton of people that I know showed up, and I felt that I needed to talk to every single person to have a decent length conversation with everyone that I know. And then there were people that I didn't know that I engaged with because I'm like, I know that that's what you're supposed to do. If they feel an emotional connection to the artist and they like you, they want to buy your work.
Totally. And they want to support you and they like you and all the things. Or they learn something new about the photo they liked. Yeah. And they get the story.
Yeah. I told people take a flyer because I've titled every single piece, and it adds another layer of fun to it, to like taking it in and
and people did. I saw a lot of people like reading them and also leaving with them.
Nice.
Which for me, I always leave those behind.
If you don't want to buy something.
If I know I'm not going to buy anything, I'll like usually follow them on Instagram and then I'll leave it. Because then I'm like, well, maybe later I might want to buy
people
something.
took it.
I saw like a ton of people leave with them.
Okay, so that'll be interesting to see if over the course of the next 7 weeks, do more sales happen.
Totally.
I mean, God, I hope so, but like maybe they won't. You never know, and I might have to store.
And again, it also gets back to like passive versus proactive. There's a lot of variety of things you can do that's not a lot of effort that could help you sell a couple more before it's over. I guess is my point. But that'll be another video because we're losing light. But
we're losing light. But there's somebody
a
that
lot
was there at
of
the
things
show
you can
last
do.
night who he wanted to take me out to lunch because he wants to create a video that literally shows every single shot in the show.
Oh, cool.
In a slideshow fashion, and he's like, you need to do it to a song.
Yes.
Yeah, this whole idea, and he works in advertising, and I'm like,
exactly.
I am all ears.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was talking about with this is like doing some sort of like trailer, basically.
Yes, so that will go on social media, and people can be like, oh, I actually went to the show and I wanted that one. I forgot about that one.
Exactly.
I want to buy it.
And then it's a matter of like making it really, really easy for people to buy things.
Yeah.
Like that's the other thing. Like
so
many artists make it
gonna...
impossible to take their money, and they wonder why they're broke. Like,
yeah. Do I need to do a website that has every single image on it?
Websites are overrated.
Okay, this is another conversation.
Yeah,
right?
it's a whole other conversation.
Let's have another conversation.
Normally, I'm not one that I'll just say. Usually, I say no. Website and email list; those are things you own, and you don't want to build your house on somebody else's land. So when people are all on Instagram or all on Facebook and that's their website, you're building your house on someone else's property.
Yeah.
So they can change the algorithm, they can do whatever, and then you don't own anything. And what was working doesn't work. It doesn't work anymore. Like the next day, and you're screwed.
Yeah.
Normally, I would say that, but there are exceptions, and one is like your work translates really well to Instagram, and more importantly, you could take this opportunity from this show and do a coordinated attack on Instagram this month before it's up to try to sell more.
Okay.
That would be what I would like. So it's a flash in the pan and not building your entire empire on one thing. So the difference there makes sense. Like eventually, like if you did this and you ended up making money, then yeah, get a website. And it can literally be one page of like, here's where to find me. And you change it when like Instagram, MySpace is gone and Friendster's gone. You just update it with the next one, right? Like, here's my Facebook page. Yeah. So that's what a website can be. It can be your online business card. Yeah. But you would do your sales through. There are people that built their entire 6-7 figure business just on DMs in Instagram.
Wow.
But it gets back to not hiding. In summary, awesome job.
Thank you. I hope that people will ask you questions about more questions about what I did, and that people can learn from my good things I did and the mistakes I made.
Yeah, so
just ask questions.
Yeah, this is going to be on my YouTube. So leave a comment, hit subscribe, because then you'll get more pricing and sales stuff, and also like about the substrates and stuff. So feel free to leave a comment, ask Viv a question. I'll make sure she chimes in. Yeah. Ask me a pricing question. And also obviously follow Parked Portraits on Instagram. Yeah. Thanks for watching. All right.
Thank you. You rule. Bye.